All right, guys, welcome to the Unscripted Podcast, one-on-one. Another new guest tonight. And, they say that you've heard the phrase, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I can say with all just 100% confidence, I'm not the smartest guy on this Zoom, which is usually the case, but really the case tonight. So I am going to actually kick it over to Dr. James Onate. And is it okay if I call you Jimmy from now on?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
100%.
All right. Well, I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Onate and let him introduce himself and his credentials. And I'm just going to shrink into my seat.
There's no thinking needed. Aaron, there's or should I call you Mr. Conrad? Which would
Mr. Conrad's my dad.
Well, see, there's my thing. So that's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, all right, so you want to call me Dr. Onate. I get it. Some people just kind of get hung up on those things. And I go by Jimmy. I go by Jimmy in the classroom. Mr. Onate is my father. Yep. And, when students call me that, I said, look, if my dad's not here, so either call me Dr. Onate or call me Jimmy. If you call me James, I know you're a telemarketer and we're not going to talk. Right. And don't call me just straight Onate. Like, I feel like there's a disrespect. I don't know if you grew up. Like, I didn't call a teacher by their last name.
Right.
It was Coach or Coach Onate, right? So that's one of my hats. So I'm good with Coach. I'm good with Dr. Onate. I'm good with Jimmy. I'm not good with Mr. Onate, and I'm not good with just Onate by itself. I don't know. It just seems a little disrespectful. So,
Right.
So yeah, it depends on what you want to talk to. I said when I was doing this podcast, I was like, do you want me to wear my Dr. Onate hat and have my, my collared shirt and my elbow, pads, or do you want Jimmy, a dad, a coach? Like, which one do you want? I wear a bunch of different hats. So I'm an associate professor at the Ohio State University. I wasn't born and bred a Buckeye. I grew up in upstate New York and did my schooling up and down the East Coast. One of the things I've always shared with you is the love of Carolina. So I have 2 degrees from North Carolina. And there's definitely, I was going to have my background be the tower, the bell tower, and have that whole thing, but I didn't get it. I didn't get that picture up today. So, and by no means am I the smartest one in any room. I might be the smartest, the wisest, wise ass in any room. I usually go for that. Anybody who knows me knows that there is definitely a smart ass in me. PhD and blah, 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 and all that stuff. I think it was, they're definitely, having gone through those things, it's not an IQ test. It's a perseverance test. Are you willing to take a whole bunch of, crap and come out the other side?
Yeah.
So.
Well, Jimmy, I got a 13 on my ACT. So
it's just. Well, that's more than I got because I didn't take the ACT. So I'm not sure what that.
There you go. Well, that is great. So there's one title you left out, and I believe it's intramural champion.
Yes, I won. Well, I didn't win. Me and 3 other guys, we won the Napoleon. So for those who aren't intramural champions as such yourself,
hey.
Napoleon basketball is you have to be under 6 feet. So 5'11" and under, and I was posting up. I'm 5'11". It was the first time that I never said I was 6 foot, and luckily I got measured well. And yeah, as graduate students at Carolina, we won a Napoleon 3-on-3 basketball tournament. So intramural champs.
There's there's just a mutual respect for those of us that have earned the right to be intramural champions. Put some respect on that name. I mean, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, unbelievable. I think there's only a select few of us out in the world.
That's right.
Who actually really trust that and own our intramural championship.
Absolutely.
I lost that T-shirt though. I got T-shirts from. So if you're a Carolina fan, you know what. I should have worn my FG shirt, my Fetzer Jim shirt.
Yes.
And Carolina people know those things, but I lost that intramural champion shirt. I don't know how.
Uh, well,
One
I
of my
don't think I have any of mine,
daughters-
and I guarantee they don't fit. So we'll move right along. But yes, you did mention Carolina. I have one question because I'm sure nobody wants to hear a Carolina podcast. Not yet, but we will have one. I'm going to have one of those, but not tonight. So when you were there, was Dean Smith the coach?
Dean Smith was coach when I was there. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Were you
I didn't
there?
get to interact with them too much. They kind of do their own thing, but it was a very special program. They really took care of their guys from top down. So it was everybody was involved.
One other question: were you there when J.R. Reed was there?
No, he was a little bit before my time. So I was there. So I was there kind of in two stints. I was there from 95 to 97 doing my master's. And then I taught high school for a couple of years. And then I went back in 99 to 2003. So
you were there the last year. They won a championship the last year you were there.
Yeah. So that was it was fun times. I mean, it was fun to, Franklin Street and
Absolutely.
all the stuff.
Right.
So
Well, we could talk Carolina all night. I'm sure everybody's getting ready to turn.
we'll do that on another podcast. Yeah.
That's
Your
right.
other podcast that's called Carolina on My Mind or something like that. So.
Oh, hey, I'm down. I'm down. All right. So let's move to the Dr. Onate part. And I don't know. I'm not positive your current role. I know your past
so
role.
I'm the director of the athletic training division, so the education program for athletic training students. I've had a couple different hats, mainly in the research side, and this one is really more administrative student side. And I love the student side of it. I don't love the administrative side of it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fill out reports all day that are 2 or 3 weeks overdue and stuff like that. But I love the students and the 18 to 22-year-olds or a little bit older, and trying to look back at helping basically myself back then. You just don't really know what you're wanting to do and all those things. And it just seems, you hear my dog going crazy. It just seems like, it just seems harder now, for the kids. Obviously we're in a pandemic, but it just seems other stuff's just harder.
Right.
I don't remember worrying about some of the stuff that they worry about. So,
yeah.
And I don't think it's wrong. It's just, I feel like it's hard.
Yeah. So are you still associated with the movement lab or not?
Yeah. So I still direct the moves lab. It's called movement optimization, little v for prevention. So we use the little v for exercise sustainment. And really it's a research lab that's, we have doctoral students, a couple other faculty, and undergraduates. I think we have 19 undergraduates in that right now. And it really is just to try to get research across the spectrum. So we do things from concussion to ultrasound to ACL injury and fMRI and things of that nature. But the lab itself is really just try to get exposure for undergraduate students and graduate students and faculty to work together across that and do research together. So we, with the pandemic, we have basically Zoom meetings every week. And then we try to do a lot of our research, as we can. So we have a lot of old data that we're going through right now. So.
Well, I always tell people from the time that I visited, or the couple times we visited, it's kind of like ESPN, the sports science segments that they do on ESPN. So it's pretty cool. So I'm going to ask you a really immature question. What was your favorite toy in the movement lab? What's your favorite toy?
I mean, we can put the markers on the dots and make the skeleton move and do all those things. I mean, that's probably the coolest to show. I'm a force plate fan, so I've been dealing with force plates for a long time, and they're basically just really high-tech, fancy scales that you can do a variety of different things with. So that's my favorite toy. But the coolest toy to show is when we get the motion capture, and we have a project that we're just finishing with the band, and we have the I'm blanking on who's the lead person. Does the dance and
Drum major?
Yes, the drum major that flips backwards. So we have that on video, and we've markered that out to look at, joint angles and forces and joint moments that they have. So it's kind of the coolest one, but but it takes so much time and so much effort that I like other toys that give me a little bit more
Yeah.
faster stuff back.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean I'd like to get a little bit of credit that I got the drum major thing. I mean,
yeah, you did. That was perfect.
I nailed that. I nailed it. That was
Nailed
one of the questions on the ACT.
That got you. That got you from 12 to 13.
That's right. It was extra credit.
Who's that leader person who throws the thing up in the air and then goes backwards? Drum
Nailed
major.
it. Nailed it. All right. So, anything else that you want to tell this audience? What again? I couldn't tell you who this audience is, whether it's one or 1,000 or a million. But anything else you want to tell the audience about what you do on a daily basis before we kind of shift into the dad and coach role?
Yeah, for me, so everybody, the PhD side of things, and we kind of got into this a little bit indirectly of like, who's the smartest in the room? Does the PhD do that? Does the research lab and blah, blah, blah. My day to day is really it's really the same day to day as like, other jobs of things like putting out fires, creating reports, talking with people and creating relationships and trying to figure out problems of those things and trying to think about what the next steps are. And, the PhD or the master's degree or the ACT or the GRE or whatever, acronyms and alphabet soup you want to put after your name, they still kind of boil down to the same thing. My academic job sounds cool and all that stuff, but it is similar to my coaching job, to my parenting job, to my spouse job. It's I don't know. It sounds different, but in a nutshell, it's kind of the same thing. I do get paid better to be a professor than to be a dad, though. I'm losing money on the dad side.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, one feeds the other, right? Literally and figuratively. Yeah. So let's move into that, the coach side and the dad side, because, you do both. And actually on one of the playing fields, you do coach your son. So what is that like? And I think there was a word that when we early on discussed coming on, and there was a word that you threw out, it was comparison. Yeah. So I want to kind of hand you the mic and let you run with what you think of when you think of the word comparison and where we are today. As again, as a dad, as a coach, and where do you see that?
Yeah, I really wanted to really talk about the compare thing. I mean, in one way I can see the positives, and I can see people like, okay, I want to achieve this goal, or I want to achieve that status level, or I want to achieve these things because I think they've made a good positive impact at that role, or so on and so forth. But I feel like a lot of times there's things that people are just doing so that they can kind of, I don't know, put themselves and make themselves feel better because they compare to somebody that, somebody else's situation, right? Like I'm a dad of a baseball player, and PBR just came out with their rankings, right? Well, if you're a 2023, which is basically 15, 16 years old, you're looking, are you the top 50, top 55 guys, right? With the kids not realizing that number 55 and number 56 really aren't different at all.
Right.
Number 55 and number 54 really aren't different. Number 1 and number 2 really aren't different. And so everybody wants to kind of compare into baseball things, or, we just went through the recruiting process, and I know you did the recruiting process, and, everybody wants to like, oh, he's a D1 commit. Well, he's an NAIA commit. He's going to a Southern school. And it's kind of like, I go back to like, oh, do you see the car that guy's driving? Yeah. Or, hey, look at the house that they live in. Mm-hmm. Or, wow, you see what the paycheck that they bring in? Like there's always that thing. And I don't know, you probably saw the Kara Lawson thing for Duke basketball. Well, we can say that word on here.
Well, I'll be 100% honest. I saw it. I didn't watch it because
If it was Carolina, you would have watched it.
sorry.
Yeah.
It's
She was
just,
talking about competing, and
mhm.
she was talking about how competition helps us, achieve. And she wants people who compete. And one of the phrases that we use a lot, and I use a lot, is compete with support, right? So if we're doing something, like, I want your son to be as good or better so that it makes my son as good or better. I want you to be successful in your career so that I can be successful in my career. If this podcast helps one person, then I want to be helpful also.
Mhm.
Instead of me coming on and going, oh, this podcast thing is terrible.
It is pretty bad.
No, so I love the idea of competing, but I don't love the idea of comparing. And I put out a tweet the other day of, with the rankings, I was like, there's only one comparison that you need to have, and is the person in the mirror. Are you a little bit better than you were the person in the mirror yesterday?
Right.
And growing up, I don't know. I kind of grew up in this, world of, oh, I need to achieve this title, and I need to achieve this dollar amount, and I need to achieve this thing, and blah, blah, blah. And as I've gotten older, it's like, that's not it at all.
Yeah.
So, I think comparison sometimes just turns into this really, really toxic environment. And a lot of times, you got the crabs in the bucket, right? Every
Mhm.
crab wants to get out. And if they can't get out, well, we're going to keep pulling the other ones from getting out.
Right.
And instead, you know what? Let's maybe build them up and push one crab out. They can go for help and get me out.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So,
I agree. I think, and there's a lot there to unpack, especially, but with regard to like a PBR, I think it's a necessity, because it's almost like so if we're comparing and contrasting the two, PBR is almost like their resume.
yeah.
And you can't go to a job unless you have a resume. Well, you got to have, your PBR rank, or, even just a profile. So somebody can say how fast did the kid throw, or, what was his exit velo, whatever it might be. And we live in, we're that society, and that culture is growing by the day because of science and the advances and all those things. So there's more data available, but that's like their resume. And then, you look at the recruiting, and then I think that even carries over into the everyday life, everyday person, mom, dad, as well. And that is, when we got done with recruiting, it's funny when you look back at it, you're like, wow. I mean, there was days where I was just so worked up and worried and stressed and all those things. And at the end of the day, it's about fit. I would tell any, and I don't care if your kid's D1, D3, NAI, and quite frankly, they're not that far apart, as you said. So the reality is it's fit, because we don't have to look any further than March to see that you may be stuck at a school and not play baseball. Thank you, COVID, right? They all lost their season, not just because of injury. Thank God. I mean, luckily, because that happens too. But I don't know how many times I've talked to somebody and they're like, oh, the coach left, or, oh, it's not what they thought it was going to be. And so they're transferring. That's why you see this transfer like crazy. Well, did they like the school? Was it a fit? Because that's what's going to last. The season can be taken away, as we've seen, and hopefully it's not taken away for injuries. But I think that's what I tell people is, man, find the fit first. Like, start there, and then find out, do I like the program and the baseball coach, and is it a program I could play for? I think we reverse engineer it a lot, where we just go with whoever calls us, and then it's like, oh, okay. That's just my 2 cents. And that's where, for Austin, I think he's in the perfect fit. He's in a perfect fit, whether he plays baseball, and that does great, or, who knows whatever future holds. He's in a great fit. But I
Yeah,
think we do the same in our jobs.
yeah. I think the compare side of, like, I watch, and nothing against the football, basketball piece, but, how many offers does a kid need to get and post online? Now, that's the baseball culture, right? That's the don't post your offers online and so on and so forth.
Right.
And football and basketball culture is exactly different, opposite to that. But I kind of sit there going, man, these are coaches and people that have established a relationship and like you enough to give you an offer. I mean, you know, I don't know. How many do you need to rack up if you're that good of a player? Like, do you really need to have 25 offers or 30 offers? I really hate the hat switch at the last second. And, like, okay, well, I got the Carolina hat and the Duke hat and the NC State hat. And well, I'm going to put the NC State hat and then throw it off. Like, seriously, these people invested time in you.
Right. To me,
Like,
that's
they invested their time. Like, these coaches are calling, my son, they're calling him, or he's calling them because he's young. So, but they're spending, Saturday morning away from their family, Friday night away from their family. Like one of the coaches I talked to today, it's his birthday and he's on the phone with one of our kids on his birthday.
Yeah.
Like, at least respect them enough not to take their hat and throw it away. And
yeah.
Like,
Can you imagine? I always think it's funny. Can you imagine if adults did what teens do? Like, if I tweeted out, man, I'm down to Microsoft, Google, and Apple. And had a great visit with Tim Cook over at Apple today. And then I got like a 3-panel picture of cubicles and an Apple computer and the like
put the Apple jersey on.
This, down to my final
Apple jersey on right here, and you look at
right. And then I'm down to my final 3, and then I have a big reveal one day, and like, come on. I mean, what are we teaching them if that's like, you're not gonna do that in the real world? You better not. I mean, because you'll never get a job at the other 2. That's for darn sure.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at with the whole comparison piece. I don't know. It just drives me crazy. The easy parts of the comparison are, oh, well, that kid's overrated. Okay, why do you think they're overrated? Because they're rated higher than you, or because you're not rated, or do you know how much that kid works? Do you see the same thing that other people see? Meaning, you only see this person, but the other people are seeing what's inside and what's maybe the next steps. I don't know. I think it's just really, we are a very judgmental society, and and it just, I don't know, that bothers me a little bit. Like, well, it probably bothers me a lot more since I really wanted to talk about it. I just think if we can compete with support a lot more and not always just judge, then I think we'll have a little bit better of a, sports society, academic society, so on and so forth. But I mean, we look at resumes, we look at CVs in the academia world, and okay, well, they went to this big school. Okay, well, that school is better than this school. Okay, well, why is that school better than this school? Oh, it's because they're endowment and they've been around for 100 and some years. Okay, well, really, does their education level at XYZ school beat this? Is going to Harvard really better than going to Ohio State? Well, maybe in some things, but maybe in other things, it's the exact opposite.
Right.
And, you start kind of looking at those things and you start valuing what are you trying to get out of those pieces. And again, that judgment and comparison, it's there, but it's also, I think when we go too far, it's toxic. So,
yeah. So, and we have just, it's time flies on these things. I tell you what, it flies. Yeah. So, and I completely just forgot the question I was going to ask. Oh, so with, man, I'm just spaced on it, literally unscripted, completely forgot the question I was going to ask. Well, when it comes to, I know what it was. All right. So, I actually was on our call earlier and brought this question up. We have Generation X, we have Millennials, Generation X, Generation Z, and the next one I found out recently, just doing some study, was it's going to be Generation Alpha, and because they're going to move to the Greek letters now. So, but that being said, everybody always complains now, and it's kind of a little bit similar to what we're talking about. Everybody gets an award, right? That's where we're at, and everybody hates that and whatever else. And I honestly believe because of the pandemic, Generation Alpha, we should probably be careful what we wish for, because what's happening to Generation Alpha is they don't get anything. Everything has been taken away. Their seasons, their games, their practices, their those kids, and I speak to that because I think mine probably fall in that. I don't know what the age, whatever, but what are your thoughts as an academic, but also just somebody that you have kids? What are your thoughts on that? Like, what do you think we are? Each one is, and the other thing too is each one is formed by the generation, their parents, like by watching their parents. So for some, they did very well, or they watched their parents do very well, and I think it's Generation Z. They saw that their parents, did very well. Millennials watched their parents struggle. So for Generation Alpha, and I'm all over the place, but that's why we're unscripted. For Generation Alpha, when they look at their parents right now, they're seeing their parents lose jobs, lose frustration, or not lose frustration, but have frustration, lose a lot of things. They themselves have lost a lot of things. So that's a really loaded question. It was kind of all over the place, but hopefully you followed the thread. What do you think Generation Alpha will be? What will be the core things because of what they've been through?
Yeah, I think two parts. Now, and I followed you on that. You went a little bit all over, but I know where you're at. I got you.
Thank you.
I think two parts. I do think they've had so much taken away, while also being part of the participation trophy opponent, right? Where I think some of these kids don't know how to appreciate actually winning and earning something.
Right.
And they don't know how to handle the applause. All they know is to go to the next step. Like, okay, such and such coach thinks you're pretty good, or such and such teacher or job or whatever. Okay, well, yeah, but what's my next step? And, they can't enjoy the moments as much, I think is one of the things. And on top of that, the mental health things that have always been there. The mental health piece has always been there. Now we just get to actually talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think that bringing that up, I think they sometimes will focus instead of on the positive side of the things that they do have, focus on some of the negative sides and the things that they don't have. And I think, there's a tough twist right there, right? That's a pretty double shot of negativity. The mental health where everybody's got some kind of issue and you're kind of dealing with it. And then the other part is you're never supposed to kind of gloat, be happy about the trophy or about your current status and standing. And you should always try to achieve more and achieve more. It's like, well, again, going back to my comparison, like what's more?
Right.
More what? More status, more prestige, more followers, more, more podcast members, what is more? So I think that's where I think this alpha group will be is they will always be, and I hear this all the time, never satisfied. Like, wow, really? That's what we're trying to teach, to never be satisfied? Like, think about that for a moment. I want my 15-year-old to never be satisfied, to give every day and all that. Like, how about I want my 15-year-old to be happy?
Yeah.
It's hard. And people look at this going, Jimmy, Coach Onate, that's not the way he is. Yeah,
Right.
that is the way I am. I want you to work hard so that you can be happy on those things. And the never satisfied is kind of relative. My summer team this past summer really taught me some powerful things about coaches' words, and whether we think we have an influence or not. And it was pretty cool to watch. So.
That's very cool. Yeah, I tell you what, you've got, and the best is yet to come with your team when you get to the 18U year. And I think I remember I blogged about that, and that was. Yeah. That summer was so fun because the paint was dry for the most part. There was a couple guys that weren't locked in yet, but the paint was dry. Everybody knew where they were going. The guys just went out and played, and it was almost like how it should be. as weird as that is, because I think they all get in that, and and your guys are in that now, and that's the focus and the grind, and they want so badly for those things, and then they get to the end, and that last summer they just need to go play. Like we all used to just go play, it might as well be Sandlot. It's great. And so you're not far away from that. A couple of years you'll be there, and then I know you're going to love that summer.
Well, I actually had all our parents read that and all the kids read your stuff. And I said, why don't, instead of wait until the end after we've committed and all those things,
Right.
how about we do that now so that we have more years of that and we don't worry about the committing part. We don't worry about who's watching. We don't worry about where people are going and all those
Yeah.
things. And every day I was talking about, your comparisons only yourself. Just did you get a little bit better than yesterday? We have a full team focus. Let's go and enjoy it, what we do. We had no signs. We just played like it was, I'd switch people in different spots and things like that. And people are looking at me like, you're absolutely crazy. And I'm like, it was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
the kids had fun because we took your mentality of 18-year-old
Yeah.
and we applied it at 15.
Yeah.
Now I really want to see it next year because we got about half the team committed. It probably will half the team will be committed next summer and the other half won't be. And I think the half that are committed will do everything in their power to get the other ones who aren't to look really, really good and get them committed because it's just a unique group of people. But your letter, your story had a lot to do with that because it's kind of eye opening. Like, wouldn't it be great if you knew what was coming and you could start that earlier? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm one of those. I really like to know things before they happen. So like I was reading,
Right. I don't like surprises.
yeah, there's my thing of death too. I like if you tell me what's there, I'm going to be really excited, and if there's nothing there, then I'm going to be pretty sad.
Yeah.
But I want to know like my superpower. So I was going to ask you this: what's your superpower? Um,
Oh goodness.
I'll, I'll give you mine while you're thinking. Okay.
Go.
My superpower is omniscient. I want to know everything, but I want to combine it with time travel. So I
Okay.
want to be able to know everything that's going to happen, but be able to also fix it or alter it or improve it or in some instances for some people make it worse.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all for good.
Yeah.
There's some evil in there. So
I've honestly never thought of what I don't
never
know.
thought of your superpower?
No, I
You can
really
tell
haven't. I
I've
don't
thought
know.
about this for a little bit. This is, I think I've been thinking about superpowers for quite a long time. Like I'm a huge Marvel fan and all that stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'd love to be able to fly and do all those things, but I'd love to know everything.
Right. No, that'd be great. Well, man, time flies. I will have to do it again. And we'll have more topics, I think.
Well,
But
I think I'm going to pick your brain for, I think I want to do one of these things myself. I already got a title and I already got a little catchphrase for it.
okay.
All right. You ready
Are
for
we
it?
launching it tonight?
We might launch it
Launch it.
tonight. We got
Like
to.
those two people that are listening right now will love it.
So the title is Next Steps. All right. So, and it's whatever next steps, like, next steps for a high school kid who's committed to something or next steps for a parent. I just had one of my former doctoral students just had a little baby boy and, I'm like, your next steps are no sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just, random people giving advice and next steps. Right.
Love
And
it.
so the little catch line is life advice from people who are living.
Nice. Love it.
So a little sarcasm in there, like you're not going to get life advice from people who are dead, right?
Yeah.
Those are quotes
Right.
and those are things to read.
If you do, you might
Podcast.
want to get something checked out. If you do,
Right. I got my music already laid out.
Oh, it's great.
It's
It's
got a
gonna be the
little
police,
ominous.
right?
What's that?
It's going to be the police, isn't it? You're going to put the police.
I
on?
would like, but I don't have royalties. I can't pay stuff out. I don't have money for that.
I'll bring my guitar over and just destroy some police. No, well, all that to say, I didn't mean to gloss over. I'm blown away and honored that your guys read something that I'd put out there. I'm always actually there's a podcast that I'm going to put up Monday, and we talk storytelling with a writer out of Nashville that's a really good friend of mine, and that's one of the things we talked about is how, like, if somebody quotes something that you wrote or tells you what you just did, it's always a little shocking, and I'm honestly blown away. Thank you for sharing that with your team, but also thank you for being on. I didn't get a chance to say, but we've known each other, gosh, 4 or 5 years now, probably. And it flies, but you've been gracious and good to me. I know we joked about, who's the smartest on the Zoom, but even, and that's, as much as we joked about that, I do want everybody to know, and I probably should have said this at the beginning, you've never treated me as if I was any less, or I got a 13 on my ACT. So very appreciative of who you are, all that you know, and that your willingness to share that with others, and that you come on tonight and just rip it up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. This stuff is a blast. It's if I can help. So, my thing I tell my students all the time is, if you can go through the day and try to help one person with one thing, that's a good day.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get one person to maybe have one word that goes, you know what, maybe I don't need to worry about what somebody else thinks about me today, or how my hair is, or how much money I make, or what job thing I have. And I'm not picking on your hair because you don't have it.
I never had that problem.
but like, if we keep it that simple, right? If we can have a whole bunch of people just trying to do one thing to help one person with, each day, right? You keep it that simple, man, we're going to have a lot of good stuff. And, I think it'll kind of, offset all the bad stuff that we have going on.
Right.
And so I'm honored. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for giving me inspiration for a variety of different things. I'm dead serious. I didn't just make this up, that your words, like, I read your words of the dad stuff. When you give, they give the advice of, like, like, don't sit down when you're shaking hands. That's one of your first ones. And I'm like, man, I wish I had taught my kids that. I forgot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking through this list. I'm like, well, I'm a failure on a lot of these things.
Yeah. Well, the handkerchief one is the one that always got me, because I don't carry one, let alone two. But and again, fairness, all due respect, the guy that wrote, I didn't write that. It went viral for me, and it's hilarious. But I didn't plan on it going viral. It just happened. But again, I have to give credit to the guy that wrote it. There's a guy out there that actually probably did very, very well off of my post going viral, and good for him. He wrote the list. I just wish he'd send me a check, but that's beside the point. No, it's all good for him. The guy wrote it. He deserves all credit. And I always make sure everybody knows I didn't write that.
And I think it's awesome. I mean, because, that's the beauty of sharing, like, information. I guarantee you we're reading some novel of something from Roman time, and one of those Romans, if there's up there's like, man, he didn't write that. I wrote that.
That's right.
So hey, it works. You still help somebody through the sharing of the message.
Thank you. And thank you for the kind words. Thank you for your time tonight. I want to come in and play with the toys in the sports lab sometime.
We haven't done that in a little while. So we're going to try to get Ryan in there soon, Big Clark. And I noticed you didn't step in the batter's box against, but your boy did.
I had to film.
Yeah, Austin did, though. Austin had the hit.
Got him.
He represented the family name. So
he did. No, it was funny. That was a blast. That was an absolute blast that day. We had so much fun, and I had to film, or otherwise I would have, easily stepped in.
Yeah.
Swung at 96. No, it was a lot of fun. So, all right. Well, I'm sure I will see you around very soon. Thank you again for coming on. We'll do this again soon, and I appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
Right. Bye.
Bye.